state command? All right, is Ehud on, or
Yes. Sometimes.
you want to give us a brief on what's happening?
Can you hear him right now? He's talking.
No, I don't hear him.
All right, let me bring the microphone up. Stand by, please.
Take the mic off the thing.
Oh, good idea. Sorry. Thank you. I don't do hardware.
You could tell he was an officer.
All right, try it.
Okay, so as past national commander and also as Connecticut State Commander, I'm going to commingle my activities, and I'll start off with I had a family that approached me almost 3 years ago when their family member deceased. They wanted to know if they could have a Ukrainian Christian symbol allocated to their footstone or memorial, and that kicked me off. I went to the VA. Let me pull that crap up. So the National Cemetery Administration with the VA and requested that they issue us an authorization to use the Ukrainian trident with a cross as a symbol be placed on the memorials. After 2.5 freaking years, they finally came back and had questions. And one of the questions was that, is this a political symbol? Which of course it's not. I told them it was a national symbol. And they couldn't find any proof on the internet that we actually had a symbol like that in existence. So I went to Father Koschak and told him of the dilemma. He went and came up with a letter. I'm just going to read you a piece of it towards the end. Okay, basically what he says is the Ukrainian Trizub trident, which started as a symbol of Kievan Rus nationhood, was transformed following the baptism of the people of Kievan Rus in 988 AD. Since the pivotal Christian event, the trident with cross has been used as a Ukrainian Christian symbol, and in fact is enshrined in the mosaic of Saint Volodymyr in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. And he provided a picture of the mosaic. So we sent it off. We talked to him briefly, and the case officer, Diane McCarran, is putting it through the review cycle. So probably sometime next week, I will give her a call and find out what's going on. So that's been in process now for nearly three years. So hopefully we'll get it to conclusion this year. The next event that occurred on the 25th of August, I got word from President Zelensky's folks to see if we could assist them in a troop that is traveling the U.S. or they were about to travel the U.S. They were called cultural forces, and they're part of the Ukrainian military. The cultural force, his job is to perform for educational institution, public sector, and healthcare, church, faith communities, law enforcement, veterans and active duty, military, media, diaspora, and all people of walks of life, the fabric, basically, of American society. So what they wanted us to help them with is to see if we could help them engage in the different communities. And since this trip, they had one before, I guess, on the East Coast. This one is going west. They started out in New York City. They were in Washington. Yesterday, they were at Charlotte. They're going to Columbus, Atlanta, Miami, Houston, Austin, Dallas, Amarillo, Santa Fe, Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and other few cities as things open up. So we've been in touch with them, and they called and wanted to know if we had any access to the veterans of foreign wars. Okay, and I had asked a judge advocate Bohdan, since I dealt with him before on issues related to VFW, to see if he can come up with a connection. He put up a good letter, went to them, and I guess we're waiting to see what they come back with. I haven't heard anything yet, and these things take time. But also, since they're going to be in Miami.
Let me just interject. I pinged that Mike Heron, the guy at VFW headquarters again, and it was still up in the director's office, his director's office, waiting a reply, and that was a day ago. So
Okay.
I don't know, I'll have to somehow check and see if they have come back with a yay or nay.
Okay, but they have been performing at VFW sites, as far as I know, and I think they did in Charlotte. Besides going to, I guess, to a high school and a church environment, they're hitting everything. And I don't know if you've had a chance to watch them on YouTube. They're very professional. They're world-class musicians. These guys were active in many, I think they still all are, even though with one of them, I guess, lost a leg. They had several wounds, but they're still active military in Ukraine. And they are professional, and they've got pretty good reviews from areas that they performed in. So I'm going to try to get a hold of Post 42. They are going to be in Tampa. See if there's anything our guys can do for them from that standpoint. See if we can come up with a venue for them. But they're going to be here until the 17th of November. So we still have some time to see what we can do. And if anybody knows of people on the West Coast that are associated with Ukrainian communities or have access to American Legion or Veterans of Foreign Wars, active military or whatever, any help that we can get from you will be sincerely appreciated. The other thing recently that I've been involved with, we had a request to go to our legislatures here in Connecticut in regards to the Supplemental Appropriation Act of last year, 2024. The presidential drawdown was originally asked, they originally asked for $100 million. They got $7.8 billion to allow the president to send military aid to Ukraine, Israel, and partners in Indo-Pacific. Most of the drawdown went to Ukraine, but the drawdown has only totaled about 1.6 billion. So they have available another 6.2 billion, okay? And the supplemental agreement ends on the 30th of September. So we needed to kick people around to find out what can be done for Congress to extend beyond 30 September. And apparently it has worked. They've come up with like 7 billion, again, of which these are not new funds. The drawdown is not a new fund. 6.2 billion has already been allocated. So anything over that is maybe an addition, but it's not, as Trump calls it, money being flitted away on new endeavors in Ukraine. This is something that has, for the most part, already been in existence. So we were in touch with Blumenthal, Delora, Courtney, who are part of HASC and part of the financial community in Congress. Blumenthal has been a very good supporter, and Miron Malnick has been key in this. He's been very active in coming up with actions with Blumenthal. So that's still working. See what happens. Okay. Let's see what else. The other thing on the Connecticut side, as far as my function as Connecticut head here, I attend the Connecticut Department of Veteran Affairs quarterly meetings. We just had an appointment of a new commissioner, Brigadier General Ron Welch, and he had his first quarterly meeting this past Wednesday. we got a total brief on what's happening in Connecticut, how they're trying to get legislation and get additional support, get some additional money to budgets. Even in Connecticut, they have a budget of $3 million, which is really nothing. They've got several residential programs and services, medical programs and services that are drawing down money. The veterans in Connecticut are, like everywhere else, they're aging and the need is picking up. So we try to do whatever we can to support them. And let's see, that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have any questions. I'll see if I can come up with some answers.
Ihor, I just my email, and there's still no reply from VFW headquarters. Suggestion I would have is wherever those that group of performers go to, if there's a UAV post in that area, the best bet is to have the UAV reach out and touch base with the VFW or American Legion in that location. I don't think the VFW is going to come back anytime soon with a, you know, we're going to help you out, guys.
I'll give them a call. I think they're in Alabama next. I'll give them a call and see what they're up to and what venues they've already had scheduled, because they seem pretty active and they have not been sitting on the laurels. They've been performing. I'll do that.
I have a question. Could you please ask Ihor, what's the date for the Ukrainian military musicians when they will be in Austin, Texas? Does he know the date?
That's a problem because they don't have a set schedule. They just work from venue to venue. I can come up with with approximate dates. I know what you're trying to do. I'm trying to do the same thing for them in Los Angeles. I have people that are very active in the community, and I'm sure that they would be more than willing to set something up. But it just we have to play it by ear. If I get a schedule, a firmer schedule, like for Tampa, absolutely, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, thank you.
And just for your information, after talking to them and told them that, you know, that most of our posts are on East Coast, in the Midwest, told them that we had what 26 posts. They're planning on coming back. I'm not sure when, but they would then focus on hitting those areas, and they have access to our website. They know where our posts are located, and we'll see what we can generate for them if and when they show up again.
All right, do we have any further discussion?
Thank you.
On,
One more point regarding the cemetery issue. A local parishioner came to me earlier this year after his father had passed away, dealing with the Department of Veterans Affairs, separate from the additional trident. Very disappointed when he was selecting the symbol and it's listed as Russian Orthodox cross, and was wondering if there is anything that we can do to address that issue.
Well, I don't know what we can do with a Russian symbol. I mean,
What time out? It's not a Russian symbol. It's a three-barred cross that Ukrainians and Russians and Serbians use. And good point. It should not say Russian Orthodox cross on there.
Maybe we should say Byzantine.
No.
It's Orthodox.
It's Byzantine Rite. Well, it's
Byzantine
Eastern
Rite.
Orthodox.
Because Ukrainian Catholics use it also. Correct. So.
No.
Well,
Maybe it's something the immediate past national commander can ask as well. Why is it Russian Orthodox? Maybe just say Orthodox cross.
I will probe the question.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the Connecticut Commander's Report? Then next we have Michael Dobrowski, the New York Commander.
Let me just make a comment about those musicians. They were performing right here, right in this building where you're at, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, you know what, Norman? The only thing is when Ehud first told me about it, for some reason, they don't have a planned schedule. So it's like a last minute thing you find out. Like, I don't know when you guys found out when they were coming here.
Well, they were here 2, 3 months, 4 months ago.
Yeah, but when did you find out? Like a week ahead of
It
time?
was advertised on credit unions and so forth, and had nothing to do with us in the military, just for the public.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I know, but they weren't giving us a lot of lead time in terms of
No,
letting us
that's
know.
true.
You know, my question is, why isn't there a way that we can go to those cities and have somebody ping the local news networks and say, hey, you know, cultural event coming here from Ukraine to show gratitude. You know, they're gonna be performing here, come out and see them.
Except you don't know where they're gonna be performing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to make the point. Yeah, they don't give us a schedule.
And that's with this trip that they're doing. Again, they're going west, and we just don't have any posts there. I mean, we heard that we have some now in Washington, but where else? You know, I know we have people in San Diego, but they're not.
Ukrainian community.
Yeah.
No, because
the
they
only-
just gave us the information. They said, we're gonna be in New York, we're gonna be here, we're gonna be there, and no other details. So that was.
Well, the issue with them is they say where they're gonna be. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna be performing there. They're gonna say, okay, we're gonna be in Chicago, we're performing in Chicago, and then they sit in Chicago and they wait till their manager finds a place for them to perform. They say, oh, okay, we're performing on Tuesday, we're performing in Cleveland. Boom, they get in their bus, they drive down to Cleveland. And then they sit there until they say, okay, you're gonna perform in Phoenix. From the next 3 days, they're driving down to Phoenix. And they wait there until they find out when the next performance. There's no
Much of the help.
That's
They'll
backwards.
perform whoever will have them.
Correct.
Well, they seem to be very, very active now. I mean, the Carolinas, Alabama, and Florida, they look like they have a solid venue.
For swimming.
The more they perform, the more people hear about it, then the more places they're able to book.
And I think their focus is not so much the Ukrainians, because Ukrainians know what's going on. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get the attention of the general American public. And what they're basically doing, okay, is acknowledging the help and are thankful for the help that they're getting from the U.S.
When they performed in Detroit, it was 95% Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Hopefully we'll be able to keep everybody informed. You know, our webmaster just said he's been keeping things updated, which is good. I guess that'll be our primary source for finding out if they're coming into our area.
Continue on.
All right, Michael Dobrowski, New York Commander.
Thank you. Inasmuch as I've been in this position for several months, this will be a brief report. One of the first things I did as the state commander, I attended the flag raising on Independence Day in Binghamton, New York. In case most of you don't know where we are, we're on the border of the New York, Pennsylvania border. And Binghamton is our next largest city. It's a community with many Ukrainians. It used to be the biggest, largest shoe manufacturer company in the world, Endicott Johnson. That's left. IBM, home of IBM is Endicott. IBM's left. GE bomb sites and everything. That's left. Link is left. So there's still a vast Ukrainian community there. Most of the newcomers coming now are the Pentecostals. And I want to address that when we talk about the note I send you. But at any rate, at the flag raising, I was asked to make a short speech, and I covered off basically what we're doing to help wounded Ukrainian soldiers in Ukraine. That is our #1 objective of Post 43 in Johnson City. Over the past 3 or 4 years, we've had 50-50 raffles. And I didn't forget you guys. I got some more. And it's been successful in raising close to $6,000 or $7,000, of which part went to Chicago in the early part, and most of the latter part went to New Haven and Carl Harvey, who's done literally a fantastic job up there with his people. At the end, I led everybody with Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag and singing Shchedem Ukraina. Now, my #1 priority as the New York State Commander is to generate membership, in my opinion. My first goal is to contact all 34 Ukrainian Catholic churches, as well as 14 Orthodox churches in New York State with a package. A nice cover letter to include that write-up by General Len, which is fantastic about Ukrainians in the military, a Tribune, and some other UAV stuff. And I'm directing each letter directly to the priest. My goal is to seek their assistance in contacting veterans that are still alive to put in our records. And hopefully, with the replies I get, I will start my narrative with the priest and the veterans there to build up our membership. I was not able to visit any of the outlying posts in New York State. It's still an objective of mine, and when I get a few funds, I hope to visit all of you there. Thank you. Any questions on that?
Just a question about your letter to the churches. Could you, I hope that you can give a copy of the letter to the executive board. They can review it and possibly disseminate it to all the other posts in the country. So maybe we can also do the same type
my
of.
plan is to send a copy of this to our commander.
Right.
And he could decide that. I'm going to structure the letter a little bit of a history of the UAV and in Johnson City, but highlight the fact of what we're doing to help wounded Ukrainian soldiers in Ukraine. As you know, the overall publicity of the war has been lost somewhat, and sometimes we hear some other things about some of the candidates, but I am still very much, including everybody in our post and James, still behind this effort to continue to use 50-50 raffles and other drives to get funds, which we send to Carl Harvey, and he will purchase the medical supplies or whatever and shoot them over. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
What was your response to Pentecostals?
Well, so you heard a question. What was the response from the Pentecostals? There was something about Pentecostals you mentioned earlier. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things I want to touch base with. I talked to Bogdan Hemansky about this. Our overall membership, UAV, I hate to say it, is going down. Last reports in in Soyuzivka, 3 posts being shut down, and a lesser amount of membership. Here, I've been using 450, 500 people. In the last report I have, we only have about 300.
366.
Well, okay, so
That's paid.
at any rate, that bothers me. And that's my objective of contacting the Pentecostals. I contacted them already. They, a couple have been in the U.S. military, but most of them, practically all of them, have served in the Ukrainian military. Now, I don't know how this fits with the laws and regulations. I've already talked to it, talked out about it. We're going to follow up on it. But they're all young men, very interested in what we're doing at the post, and having associate membership to attend, but you can't vote. It doesn't ring a bell with them. So hopefully, after we investigate whether this will be legitimate, Jerry Kinvichuk will probably fill us on the laws on that, because he discussed this a couple times a couple of years ago, what we can, as veterans, are able to do.
I think Matt Roblewski also mentioned something about Ukrainian veterans, you know, in association with the UAV. And I don't think legally you can incorporate them into the
No, you
organization.
can't. They'll be antithetical to our charter.
That's what I'm saying. You can't. I don't know if you can use them as an auxiliary or something of that nature. I don't know. That has to be looked into. So.
But I agree, we need to examine different mechanisms to enhance our numbers, you know, like different pools.
Other thing I had is all the Rutheni out there, Ruthenians, Ukrainians, but they still call themselves Ruthenians.
Yeah, not going to win that one.
Try.
Well, let me tell you about my experience.
Yes, so I was like I was talking about, I know it says like in the amendments where it has to be somebody in the US Armed Forces, but this is something where like we can make amendments to. I know how it said we need to send it over to you 60 days in advance, but we can make amendments to it, like where as long as it's somebody who, let's say they came from Ukraine, they are an American citizen, but let's say they are a veteran in the Ukrainian war.
No.
Why not let
No.
them transfer?
DD 214.
IRS rules, we are a 501c19,
There's very specific.
which is very specific that we have to have, it's something like 80% of our membership must be
Right.
US military members.
That's right.
But you have to look at also how do you define a veteran? And we are in the United States, and Title 38, United States Code, defines what a veteran is under that code. And it's pretty much, you have to be a U.S. person to be a veteran. Now, they have 2 types of services. You have the armed forces and you have overall uniform services under the Veterans Administration. And the Veterans Administration considers everyone that is listed under that, you know, under their title as veterans. It's just, they're just splitting hairs though, as far as, you know, how things go, how things can be divided out.
19. I just read it before I came here, so I could understand it. And it's very specific what we can do under that title C-19A. And talking about forming an auxiliary, it specifies even who can be in the auxiliary under that C-19. You can look it up. That's it. I read through it. So it's very specific. As long as we continue to be a C-19, we don't have that much leeway. We can't change our, unless we change our status, we cannot do so.
So why don't we change our status? Why do we have to be a C-19?
Because then we're not a veterans organization.
Which
Legally, we're not a veterans
exactly,
organization.
that's what our
We
charter
become
is.
a foundation.
We're probably not gonna we're probably not gonna get too many
Yep.
people from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration or the Public Health.
We're not getting anywhere. Those are civilian organizations that wear uniforms.
Again.
They're veteran organizations, and we can discuss that later on, okay?
Yeah.
But they are considered veteran
Well,
organizations
they're not. No,
by
they're
the
not.
US government.
No, they're not. I disagree with you hundred
Well, you
percent.
can disagree, sir,
Good.
but they're veteran
No,
organizations.
they're not.
We could discuss that
They're not.
offline.
Well, what's important is, so if we get membership that exceeds a certain percentage, we would lose our not-for-profit, well, our tax-free status as a C-19. So if we, for example, had an affiliate organization, we could have them under that. We had a member a couple of years ago that brought it up at another convention, about maybe forming an auxiliary or something like the Sons of American Legion but that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to work on in the committee. And we're gonna be forming our committees this afternoon. And I would hardly encourage it because I have to admit, if somebody's a Ukrainian veteran and they're here during the war, I would be careful about why are they here during the war, unless they were injured, they're not fit for duty. Or, if you're a military age male, I don't know if they have conscription for females in Ukraine, but
No.
but that makes, we have to be kind of careful if that gets us into some kind of hot water, in my opinion.
And the verification process, can we trust the verification process from Ukraine and whatever, that they are indeed a veteran?
Yeah, but they're not a US veteran, so.
I know, but
No, I know what you're saying. I'll tell you what, our project, and Theodore knows because he was involved in this as the national commander. When we first started working with the Ministry of Veterans Affairs in Ukraine, their first real hurdle was to try to define what a veteran was. They're actually still having a tough time with that in terms of, because there's the medical care and everything. They're like for us, if you serve 20 years, you're eligible to retire with retirement pay from the armed services. Their retirement is different, and it's got to be, I think, a certain rank for officers. It's got to be either, I think, maybe 25 years. I forgot what it was, but we have to kind of take into account that you're right, that they have a different definition. Because look at, New York Times just ran an article. It took me forever to read it. I don't even know if I finished all of it about a Russian officer and his. This is like on Sunday, a Russian officer and his wife, and all the corruption and all the problems that were inherent in the Russo-Ukrainian war. Who was being sent there, what kind of troops. Basically, this guy spent all his effort getting out of it. And they still said, we still can't totally prosecute him for this and that, whatever it was. Like, for example, another thing that came up just within the last couple of weeks, and it had to do with the Kursk invasion by the Ukrainian armed forces. On the Russian side, they were complaining because, according to the law, the Russian law, conscripts that are in their first year that haven't been trained properly aren't supposed to be sent into combat. So they actually had a whole pushback saying, why are you having these conscripts in this battle where the Ukrainians are killing them when they're not even supposed to be exposed to that, or something to that effect. I'm not an expert on it, but it just shows you're right that defining a veteran for the Ukrainians is tough. Even I know I'm a VA certified attorney, and believe me, I go to a service officer a lot of times to ask because there's a couple of different definitions and they've changed again for veterans. So with the Ukrainian veteran, if we have an affiliate organization, they would have to define what they accept and what they don't accept. So that's, and again, we're operating within 501c19, for the Internal Revenue Service. The way administrative law works is they write regulations. That's their interpretation of how that law should be applied. So that's where the committee would have to look.
Isn't there some sort of a simplistic rule? I think you call, if you did 180 days,
minimum, you were a veteran.
Yeah.
That's still true?
Yes,
Still,
yes.
still true, not for training, that's the caveat.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, and that's, again, because it's like that, not everybody. For example, we usually look for a DD 214. A DD 214 is gonna tell you, you know, where you served and what. However, I know that I went reserve component and active component service, so I have multiple DD 214s. You know, one of them is overseas service, another one is, you know, mobilized for Fort Drum, another one is mobilized for Fort Dix. I mean,
Yeah, but don't you then also, like, for the UAV application, don't you ask for the 14?
The 14's on the application form.
We don't require it anymore.
There's another
Nope, it used to be.
form that,
We don't.
that we all get that lists 20 years of service or.
yeah, that's the I forgot what form it is, but it's for the retirement points.
Yeah.
Because there's a Form 22, like, for example, with the National Guard soldiers, and it defines how long you served and where, what your military education was and everything else. So again, it's not that simple. We did have a change to the way we do it because I think it was what the American Legion started, that basically they'll accept anyone as a member, but if you're going to become an officer, now you have to prove with a DD 214 or a Form 22, I think, what kind of service you had, you know, to be able to, in other words, once you become an officer within that organization. So we haven't gone that far, but we may end up going that far at some point. But the bottom line with membership is we have to be careful that if we want to maintain that status, that we don't, I don't know if it's 75 or 80%, but it's some 80%.
Yeah, something wrong.
Yeah, so 80% have to be veterans of a certain character.
Yeah, see, like, you were talking about in Ukraine, you could have served 20 years in the military, but if you never saw combat, you're not a veteran. They only consider those as veterans as those that had combat. So, you know, that's the old Soviet thing. So all the sailors that were on the Moskva, none of them are veterans because they weren't in a combat zone. Yeah, the Russians refused to pay the death benefit, the combat death benefit to the families of the Moskva.
No, I think the question came up, like, is it a problem if we do, you know, we organize something like this? And we were just explaining that a 501c19 requires, there are certain requirements for us to maintain our status.
Yeah, what do we care whether Ukraine, what the.
Well, no, I think that was just an example. All right, I brought up that Ukraine is having a tough time defining what a veteran is. That was just as an example of if we start an affiliate organization, what would be?
We need to move on.
Exactly. Let's get.
How many angels on the top of the pin?
6.
173,
Thank you, Mike.
and a half.
All right, Michael Hitzak, I'm coming up as the New Jersey commander, which I've still been dual-hatted with that. If you look at my report, my report has everything, but national and the state commander, and also the I put judge advocate, but that's not accurate anymore. But what I did do is I did attend as the state commander. For example, the Polish Legion of American Veterans Post 91, I'm a member of that, and I attended a dinner, again, trying to work together with them. I did get to know, and by the way, I know through the VFW also, but the state commander for the Polish Legion, back when we had the dedication of our national monument. So I've been working with him for 9 years now. He's the one that said, why don't you become a member so you can come, you know. I haven't been that active there, but again, it's to try to establish a liaison with other East European veteran organizations. I also attended some other events, just like an AUSA networking. We also, as I had mentioned before, had the honor guard for New Jersey night with the Devils hockey back in December. We're doing it again this December. I noted as the state commander, even though it was a personal thing, that I went to see my son the night before he deployed over in Fort Cavazos in Texas. But I also One of the other things we did, and even though it's really as a national commander slash state commander, we led the Holodomor March. It's an annual event that ends up at the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. And they said they were going to do it every 4 or 5 years where they have the march. But for some reason, I would have sworn Ehud and I marched in the march, and then they had it again this past year. But it goes all the way from St. George Ukrainian Catholic Church, all the way down and ends up at St. Patrick's Cathedral. And we get, you know, we actually show our colors there. And what's interesting is UKK, Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, when we did the march the first time, because Andriy Hadzavich is in there, Mike Fedirko's in there, and I led the march, and they used that photograph in their annual report, which was, I thought, kind of interesting, because at first, they weren't even going to invite us to it, you know, formally invite us. I guess they were, and I said, no. If you invite the veterans, we lead the march, because we're the veterans. There's no putting us in the second or third rank. And they've honored that, but we've also honored it by showing up on that. I had a couple of course, the services we had with the National Monument. We did have still some post-6 members. Post-17, of course, you're going to hear about them. They attended, and of course, Allentown, who's basically 50 or more % of the attendees. We also had
Right, Lehigh Valley.
What do I keep saying?
Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton.
Lehigh Valley, correct.
I'm in Bethlehem, so.
Okay. I didn't, you know, Pennsylvania is very large. Anyway, and like I said, even the Trenton commander had contacted me, even though basically they're inactive. So the bottom line is, what we want to do is, my goal is to get the Homedale and the Newark Post up and running again, which means getting a meeting going, getting officers elected, and having meaningful activity at the post level, not just attending something like the monument and Veterans Day or Memorial Day. So overall, New Jersey's in good shape, except that 3 out of the 4 posts are inactive. So that's a challenge for a guy like me. Do you have any questions about?
What are the chances of doing what you want to accomplish, bringing back someone? I mean,
well,
could you have like a central New Jersey post, or something regional as opposed?
That might be
incorporating maybe to the former.
Well, I have a feeling that I'm going to have to incorporate Newark and Homedale together. And because I do have members there, I just don't have anybody who formed a post.
We did that with post 17, because it was post 17 safe, and now it's post 17, and we're calling it North Cruise.
Correct. Andriy Hadzavich is correct. We used to meet at Passaic. Well, it was called the Passaic National Home, but then it's called now the Cultural Center. And then we started meeting at the Cultural Center where we had the convention in Whippany. So I don't know if we're going to absorb it into post 17. Like I said, post 6 is kind of a legacy post. So I'm trying to, if I was going to do anything, I would take Anna Kravchuk's post and merge that, and then maybe Trenton too. Trenton has been no activity. So my plan with Trenton is kind of like dead on arrival so far. But my 2 other posts, I have recruited some members into them. I just have not been able to organize enough to get a meeting and get officers elected. Well, that's the thing. Gregory Pasiwa, the post commander, he actually contacts me every once in a while. And his last contact was, I think, 4 or 5 months ago. And he said, I can't get my guys to show up for a meeting, but I have money and I want to pay their dues. So I gave him the contact information to Ben Sock, our finance officer, but he's never given me any feedback as to what happened. And I've asked him at the quarterly meetings, did Pasiwa actually, contact you and pay the dues? Because Pasiwa said, we have the money, so I don't want the money to just go, like by default somewhere. I'll still pay the dues, and I'm going to try to still get these guys maybe get a couple of new members and start having meetings again. Do you?
You mentioned Anna Kupsu. Was she the verification officer and the verifier DD 214 to our veterans?
Yes.
Yep.
That's gonna be something I'm gonna bring up under old business, but I can bring it up now. Just as I like to talk about my accomplishments, I'm not ashamed to talk about my failures. Anna Kupchuk has been one of my failures. After our last convention, it took me a couple of weeks, but I drafted a letter. I went over it with Bogdan Hitmansky, the judge advocate. We pretty much decided how we were going to approach Anna, because we also waited for General Kondratyuk to contact her. I had another conversation with her. One of the Post 6 members, Marta Biskup, heard the conversation. I never threatened her or anything, but she understood it that way. And I really respect her. I think she's done so much for the Ukrainian American veterans, not just as a past national commander, but she actually ran the registration project, I think, since what, 1998? Exactly. The problem is, at some point, she has several different versions, but I guess she was contacted by somebody from Ukraine that wanted to know about Ukrainian American Vietnam veterans. She thought that was a security breach, which it might have gone in both directions. I don't want to say that maybe she gave some information that later, I don't know what happened, but that's when she said, I shut everything down. And that's about 8 years ago. And we keep trying to approach her and get the information from her, because the way we used to do the membership is, even if you didn't become a member, you would encourage people to register with the registration project so that we could count our Ukrainian American veterans in terms of, giving us credibility for what kind of a population we have within, the community. And she would verify, you're right, she would verify the membership. And then when Post 26 was getting ready to start up, about 6 or 7, or maybe even 8 months after the initial roster was sent of the proposed new Post 26, we find out at the convention, she said, oh yeah, those applications, there was something wrong with them. Whatever it is that she said was wrong with them. But she never told us that. So we were wondering, how come nothing happened for like 8 months? So we knew there was a problem. And anyway, I sent out the letter. I sent it out, I think certified or whatever. I don't remember. Bottom line is, even though she only lives like half an hour from me, it took almost 2 months for the post office to send the letter back and say you have the wrong address. And, that was the beginning of the clown show, because then I said, you know what, Bogdan, if you could take this letter and resend it. And then by the time we resent it, he had an operation, then I had an oration. And I think we finally didn't get the letter to her till like August.
It was August, yeah.
No, Mike,
The first letter went out under his signature in early July. And then
that was the second letter. The first letter went out earlier.
Went out, the first one went quite well.
Like months earlier.
Yeah,
Right?
May. Then you had your issues, and I had surgery also. And then the second letter went out in July.
May is when it was returned.
What was the context of the letter?
Who cares?
You
Yeah.
have a copy of the letter in front of you, or Ed Zedek has it. Do you want to read it out loud?
The letter basically said, it explained that she has become inactive, that even though she ran a registration project, it's time for a transition, and that we're going to contact her to pick up the data.
I can't, people want to hear this, so,
No, but it basically says we want to go pick up the stuff. We have tried before. I went with Matt Koziak and Oksana Koziak. We spent a couple of hours down there and got nothing. Even though we left the memory stick, which is similar to what you did a couple of years ago.
What we got, Michael, was an agreement between us and her son that he would download.
Correct.
On that memory stick the information. That was the understanding that we all left with. And subsequently, they reneged on that promise.
And that was over a year ago. So that's why I wrote this letter. it was as polite as we could be letter saying this is the last warning before we have to go to some other means to try to get this.
Wow.
And that's where we find ourselves. And my failure was, like I said, I had a couple of months between the two of us that we just dropped the ball.
What was her reply?
Where,
She didn't give a reply. That's the problem.
so, okay, so where are we at this point? My
At this point-
suggestion is that I'll go down there again and we just tell her, give us the stuff or we're gonna do what the letter says.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am now. I just don't want to go there by myself.
I'll go.
Have you read the letter? Okay.
Yeah, anybody who's interested, by the way, you can work on this.
There's nothing in there that is derogatory.
So what is this? We'll do what the letter says. What would we do?
Take it to the next step, which would
Which
have
is
to
what?
be legal. It would have to be legal recourse. We would have to actually get her to
We go down and visit and that.
well, no, that's the last, yeah, that's the last chance of
All right, you've already done it. So
what I call a gentleman's way out, but
The last paragraph of the letter says that we will send our representative down there to contact you or contact you to arrange for transfer of the material.
Right, exactly.
And
So
since
my
I signed it-
designated representative will contact me when this transfer is to take place.
yes,
Okay? So this is the end of the letter.
Correct.
That's, what's the date of that?
July 22nd.
July 22nd.
And that was returned as, not.
no, that was a much earlier letter. That's why I'm saying it was a failure on my part, because I didn't know I sent it to the wrong address.
It was sent to the correct one.
No, what happened
Yes,
was.
you do.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, you
to
have
the
all
July letter, yes.
You have all the
subsequent letter.
certification in that packet.
Well, the green card in here that I just saw has the home built PO.
Right, there's another one in there that has the correct address.
Yeah, the PO box is where I screwed up. I
Yeah.
forgot all about the fact.
I actually provided that address on this road.
Yeah.
You talk about being tactful or gentlemanly or polite. Have you ever considered trying to reverse the strategy in a sense that putting it on her and ask her what she proposes to do to transition?
Well, here's the letter.
You know, kind of reverse the role.
Well, you know what, again, I agreed with General Kondratyuk where we wanted to still do like a softball approach because Anna has done so much for us, really. And I think she's just confused. She's confused. She thinks that because she ran the project all these years, this is one version, and I am not in any way denigrating or making fun of her, but she believes because she put all that effort in there, that information belongs to her.
Well, she can be part of the transition team, you know.
No, that's what I told her. All right.
Give her all the accolades, but then say, hey, oh, by the way, could you help us now? And
Well,
That's what the letter said.
Exactly, and
The
plus,
letter praised her, her service to the UAV for recording the information, but it said, you know, in light of, you know, recent events in your, you know, life, you know, it's in your best interest to transfer over to the UAV.
but bottom line is, when I was a judge advocate, of course, my advice to the national commander was, look, the Constitution and bylaws say if you miss 2 executive board meetings, you could be removed. And she missed more than that. By the way, and it might have been helping her husband who died not too long ago, but be that as it may, it stalled the registration project and it has really, in my opinion, it has cost us membership, in my opinion. Hold on, Zenko was, I'll get back to you.
Not too long ago,
Ed?
my wife and I went for lunch at the services at the memorial. She was sitting there with a friend. When I came to her, I said, hey, Anna, how are you? How's everything? She looked at me like, you know, who the hell is this guy? I tried, but she says, I don't have any kind of books. I never wrote any kind of books, and leave me alone. I don't think that us talking here and coming to her and bending the knee is going to accomplish anything. We should elect a new officer, and if need be, and I hate to say that because they will know Anna very well, take her to court.
It's pretty much,
We're gonna be sitting here.
except for this one visit, it's inevitable. That's gonna happen, unfortunately.
Well, I hate to interrupt this, but are all the commanders, are all the units gonna be having their reports?
Yes,
Okay, and I'm just looking at the schedule that we're supposed to be done between, at 3:30, because to break down to the committees. And it's almost 3 o'clock now, so
Can we move on?
we're a little bit behind schedule.
all right, no, I just.
Schedule's only a suggestion.
Yeah, no, Walter, you're right, and by the way, I think. This is it for the New Jersey report, what's on the?
Thank you. Posts?
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's the post commanders, so post one, you briefed us. All right, and the next post is. The next post is.
Post 6, post 14, post 15, post 17.
Yeah, Ehud, post 6, I already talked about that. Post 14 was Ehud. I think he already, he discussed his activities.
Ehud, did you give your post?
Yes,
He did.
yes,
He did.
yes.
Post 15, I don't think we have anybody for post 15.
His Volk, he's not.
Is there anything that we want to present for post 17?
Well, since we are the largest post in New Jersey, which we 24 members, I think, so ahead of the next meeting. We have projects which are community oriented. We put in the lights on the American flag so that the flag can wave 24 hours a day. We paid for that, obviously. And our next project is to, and Andrei is really involved in that with him. They to put a memorial with the names of Ukrainian American vets who died in World War II, Korea, etc. We had already the agreement with the church, the priest, and I don't know, some holy person. But all of a sudden, the priest changes his mind. He wants it this way. Now, what we proposed was logical, and then they can explain it. But he wanted a stone. I said, stones cost a lot of money. Oh, well, in other words, the church just cut us off. So that's the problem. Other than that, we meet about once every 3 months at the cultural center. We have guys coming from as far as Philadelphia that are coming to our post. We got a helicopter pilot, a transport plane pilot, and probably somebody with a sword. So we do meet, not always everybody, but I would say 10 people show up, 11 people show up at our meetings. It's approximately that. You know, we had a guy that was coming from North Jersey, and all of a sudden he disappeared. So now that his wife had cancer and he moved to Florida, so we have to cross him out. But other than that, there's nothing unusual other than our, internal projects that we're interested in. I went in Hudson County, Ukrainian Independence, and in every place, I and my wife, we represented UAV. So we have my wife has a Ukrainian flag, and the mayor of Jersey City welcomed us, holding the entire city council, and Yusuf Reynolds had a short speech, and I represented the UAV in New Jersey, and the mayor came up to me and said, I never knew you guys existed. So there we go. With that advertising to the whole community, we're just individuals. I mean, I respect every one of you. However, if we're going to go forward with that project that Anna stopped, we got to do the different systems. I hate to say this, but she's got to go report. She is, I was told she's got dementia. So I can't, my conscience is not allowing me to really, if you excuse the word, be afraid. Okay, so we gotta either talk to her or take it in court. And as far as that post, 17, it's fine financially, and, we try to advertise ourselves as, an important organization in New Jersey Ukrainian community.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Two more points. Because we'd like to thank the editor of the Tribune. We actually have group readings of the Tribune. It helps us with our insomnia. And for the other folks that have their golf tournaments, we don't have any golf tournaments. We're all still sexually active.
Post 17, you guys are a bunch of ricks.
No, they just.
That's because the P is silent.
No, they just got locals, so, you know, that's no.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Post 19, William Georgetown.
Yes.
Commander Post 19, attended the, September 21st,
Walter, would you mind coming up to the front? Thanks.
Yeah.
Zenko dude, I didn't know he was gonna go that long. Just for the sake of my arm.
all right.
So tired.
Okay, Commander Post 19, attended the September 76th annual convention, May 12th, St. Thomas Sound Bombrook, May 27th, Memorial Day service, Sound Bombrook, June 9th, St. Anthony Cemetery made placed flags on graves of deceased UAV members. And August 25th, Ukrainian Independence Day, raised flag at the Ukrainian Hall. That's about it.
Well done.
Thank you. Post 23. Do we have anything from post 23?
Nope.
All right, post 24, we already heard this. That was. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Post 24 is Cleveland.
Being recorded. Post 24 has nothing to report.
Okay, post 23. Oh, that's the 25. 25 is inactive. 24 was Cleveland. 26 is
Yeah, I got here from our post commander, Dr. Orishkevich. I'm gonna go through some of the highlights here. In October 2023, we had a guest speaker from the Marine Corps League, and they briefed us on how they're providing humanitarian support to Ukraine and supplies to Ukraine, which was very interesting. Also in October, members of Post 26, myself and Dr. Orishkevich and some other individuals attended a symposium on the Ukraine's quest for a mature nation statehood roundtable that was given at, it's a famous place in DC. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a ritzy club. Press club, something like that. Yeah. Whatever.
No.
And that was very interesting. In November, our post commander had lunch with Joel Poznansky. He is the Jewish War Veterans Commander. So they have an ongoing dialogue on what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in over in Israel and Gaza. Let's see what else we have here. In November, the post commander attended the funeral of a Ukrainian American veteran, Danilo Demydenko, at Arlington Cemetery. We also, post commander also played Shrtei Mikolai at the local school, so he was present for that. Let's see here. Zoom meeting in March because we couldn't make the attendance. We have just limited amount of people coming in. Here we go. In April, we had another meeting, and this was attended by George and Will. Last names I don't have available here from Veterans Bridge. They're another support group that is trying to assist the Ukrainian veterans in Ukraine transitioning from being combat veterans, to civilian life after they've had some major injuries or PTSD type trauma. And they're very involved with what's going on there. And they were also at a meeting with the embassy, I want to say in October timeframe, which I attended, which they were giving their pitch to Ambassador Markarova. Let's see what else we got here. Attended the funeral of Colonel Ihor Kotlachuk. That was members of the entire post. And he was given final military honors rendered. And he was followed on term at ANC. We attended the, we did not attend the National July 4th Parade because most of our members happened to be out of town at that time. In August, we attended another conference at the Ukraine House, and that dealt with Ukrainian POWs coming back. And there was two presentations. One was by an individual who was with the Azov Battalion. He was a POW for approximately 4 months. And he relayed how he was beaten and tortured. There was another one who was a female medic, and she was interned by the Russians for 18 months. And she was also relayed how they treated their prisoners. My phone just crapped on me because it just went blank. Hang on. We did the Ukrainian Independence Day celebration parade. We marched in that, riding a color guard. And also in September of this year, we also provided support to the Ukrainian Festival, providing a booth there where we tried to do some recruitment. We have one new member, and we also raised about $200 in funds for support of our post. And that is, sorry, one more thing. We also attended the funeral for a Ukrainian veteran, US Air Force veteran at church, a Yaroslav Bihun. And we also provided final military honors at that church ceremony also. And that is all for Post 26.
Where is Post 26?
DC.
I went to school with Yaroslav Bihun.
You did?
Wow.
So you know his brother Andriy?
Yeah. Once.
Here.
Yes. Yep.
Now, Post 26, I'm glad to hear all the things that they've accomplished in just the last couple of years. And by the way, I've attended a couple of their meetings, which I thought was extraordinary. Post 28, do we have anybody from Post 28?
Was that Akron?
Akron.
I don't think we have anybody. Okay, Post 31?
Yep. Pardon me. Post 31 in Boston, we continue to meet at the American Legion Hall. We've had several meetings this year. Pleased to announce we recruited a retired Army sergeant, I believe a sergeant first class, who was a woman. So we've added a woman to our ranks in Post 31. Ski Yavorsky, who was online earlier, publishes an excellent post bulletin. We do it online as well as we send it in the mail. We do honors for deceased veterans, and we do it for anybody that's Ukrainian American. You don't have to be a post member. We just did one a few weeks ago. We've attended all the local events commemorating Ukrainian Independence Day and we had a ceremony in Boston commemorating the 2-year mark of the war. And we all wore our UAV hats to that event. And that concludes my report.
Was that John Gebbas?
I got
John Gebba?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, General.
Okay.
Post 32, Chicago, anybody?
We tabled that earlier until he will be sending,
Oh, I thought we tabled the plans, okay. Activity report also. Anybody from Post 33, New Haven? Post 40? Post 42?
Isn't Ihor Post 33?
No. No, New Haven is Post 33.
I thought Mirko was 33, no?
All right, post,
Yeah, they can't issue that we did before.
no.
I'm busy here.
All right, Post 42 continues to be very involved in community affairs locally, and we work very closely with Soyuz Ukrainok, the Ukrainian National Women's League. They participate in our fundraisers, and we help them as well. One of the most significant points is that we changed our patronage to Sergeant Michael Strank from the Iwo Jima fame. There's irrefutable evidence that he's Ukrainian. You know, his parents attended the Ruthenian Church. They're from Pennsylvania, etc. So, and we actually thank General Kudryachuk for pointing out that our previous patron, Jack Palance, never really served in the military except on the screen. So, anyway, you've probably heard some of our activities from other posts because we joined with Philadelphia in providing the color guards at the 76ers game and color guards with New Jersey for the New Jersey Devils game. We also were involved, we raised the flags for Ukrainian Independence Day at Bethlehem City Hall Plaza. We participated in actually a prayer for the children, for all the captive children captured by Russia from Ukraine. They were also in the Bethlehem City Hall Plaza. We participated in every event at the National Monument, whether it be Memorial Day, Veterans Day, St. Thomas Day, etc. We added 4 names to our deceased veterans plaque. They're not veterans as much as Boston does. We have a plaque with deceased veterans. You don't have to be a member of the Post or the UAV. But most importantly, I'll give you a little background on our big project for generators to Ukraine. There's a young man who's a parishioner of St. Mary's Orthodox Church in Allentown, whose father brought his family from Ukraine under the refugee program. Then the father went back to fight in Ukraine and passed away. More tragically, his mother went to bury her husband, and they won't let her back into the United States, you know, because she violated the terms of the refugee visa. But anyway, jointly, so we decided to use his deceased father's battalion to be the recipient of some, you know, these solar powered generators, which are produced by a member at large, Paul Schmataloka, out of Seattle, Washington. And then after that battalion received the generators, the young man's mother, we spoke to her in Ukraine, and she says, "Oh, could you get one to his best friend in this other battalion?" And that created a chain reaction that by today, we've outfitted 11 battalions, military battalions in Ukraine with solar powered generators, plus 5 medical stabilization points for providing, you know, taking care of the medicine and blood, etc. Now I'm going to show you, you know, brief videos.
Take the microphone.
And while Jerry's setting it up, I had talked with Paul Schmataloka, and he says they don't want to send fuel power generators because they have a heat signature, which makes them an instant target, while if they're solar, they're not picking up that there's a solar generator there.
Right, that's why we got involved. With military, that's very important. This is real time.
Hey, a microphone.
Yeah. These are some of the Ukrainian troops that we secretly sent us this from Ukraine. It shows how they use these cameras. That little green box, that's one of the generators. That's a small one. They're different sizes.
The Ukrainian American Veterans of Australia, and they have very when in position we connect the start to communicate with airframe and its subsequent adjustment to the enemy equipment and manpower of the enemy, and also for recharging batteries from copters.
And he affixed our logo.
Very nice.
It's very, I can't get it louder.
Військовослужбовці 80-ї окремо десантно-штурмової бригади
Another size.
Ukrainian American Veterans за наданий зарядний пристрій великої ємності, який ми вже неодноразово використовували в бойових умовах на позиціях. Він повністю заміняє нам генератора, коли той виходить з ладу. Зараз можемо показати, як ми його використовуємо в умовах нашої роботи непростої, так сказати. Зачасту використовуємо для заряджання саме батарей під FPV дрони, які використовуються для скидів. Тут маємо багато роз'ємів швидкого заряджання, Type-C, USB, чим заряджаємо планшети, також використовуємо для зарядки ноутбуків.
You probably can't read the translation of the Bible. Okay.
Дякуємо.
You get the gist of it, right?
Доброго дня, ми бійці 120-ї бригади, знаходимося на території Балаклавки. Підтримуємо нашу хлопців, що знаходиться
On the left bank of Krishna.
в порядку. Ми просто водимо підтримки, це дійсна армата. Хочу подякувати українсько-американським ветеранам пост 42, що знаходиться в місті Пенсильванія, за цю чудову електростанцію, що вони нам дали. Вона дуже нам допомагає в мобільності, зарядному пристрою заряджає. Завдяки їм ми ще підключаємо систему РЕП, яка діє на ворожі FPV-дрони.
It's used to block enemy drones.
Військові, які займаються для того, щоб коригувати гармату.
It helps with targeting.
Також заряджаємо радіостанції, все, що електронне в нас є, заряджається тільки за допомогою неї. Наша мобільність стала найбільш ефективною, тому що ми з періоду 2 дні стали працювати в період 5 днів. Тобто на 5 днів на цій зарядній станції хватає головою. Ми дуже вдячні всім, хто долучився.
It's been able to extend their mission from 2 days to 5 days. I think that's the last one. Oh, there's one more.
Дякуємо за допомогу американським ветеранам, структуру відео стали працювання за допомогу.
You can see the Claymore mines in the front there.
Даний пристрій ми можемо використовувати як підзарядку. Для таких речей, як підривні машини, як радіостанції, фонарики. Інші речі. Як ви знаєте, українські військові дуже винахідливі люди. Тому даний пристрій ми ще можемо використовувати для підриву мін, які будуть під'єднані або послідовно, або паралельно, які буде дуже велика кількість для одночасного підриву. Тобто, ми все можемо зробити. Дана річ нам дуже згодиться для захисту Херсонщини, для того, щоб ми звільнили нашу Україну від окупантів. Дякуємо вам за допомогу. Дякую. Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Always saw this one. This is on a loop.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is a real game changer. Those of you that have been a tactical Army or Marine, this is a game changer because in the old days, a forward observer, a sergeant or lieutenant would have to go up forward and you know, look for the enemy positions. With the drones now, they send back the information to the field artillery fire direction center. They send that information to the guns. By the way, those guns are M577, which came out of National Guard stocks. We sent some from Massachusetts and US Army stocks. They put the adjustment on there and they hit the Russians within minutes. This is incredible stuff.
yeah.
So thank you.
If you want to get in, where's the microphone? If any of your posts want to get involved on your behalf and get these kinds of videos, let me know. I'll put you in touch with the people coordinating all this. And meanwhile, if you want to help us, Adam's got, we have a bunch of these t-shirts, Ukrainian American Veterans t-shirts. And we also have raffle tickets, not to compete with you. Okay.
You are competing with them.
No, it's all right. There's plenty of money in this room. We appreciate anything you can do. Thank you.
Jerry, how is that charged? I didn't see any solar panels.
Oh, the solar panels are non-reflective glass, so, you know, and they're flexible, they fold up. Oh, I think the first guy that was sending, the solo guy with the drone, he was setting out a solar panel on the other side of the building. But they come in various sizes. And you can also charge these batteries. It's essentially a battery, a lithium-ion battery. It lasts for 72 hours. And you can charge it off, you know, the actual direct current and supplement it with solar power.
Are they bought over here and sent over there, or you send the money over there and they buy it over there?
They're sent from here. They're manufactured in Arizona. Paul Schmatowak, he's actually from Philadelphia, isn't he? I seem to remember playing against this.
There's no problem with it getting diverted somewhere?
No, well, you can see, we know where it all goes. Yeah, and the guys, and they actually have a pretty good organization. It's not that we send money there, but he already has a stock in the view. And he has a stock in Poland waiting to be shipped over. And we have several, not we, but his company has several people on the ground, mostly priests, who coordinate, who get it and make sure it gets there.
To the right people.
As it gets to the right people, and they organize the videos coming back to us.
Jerry, how much the cost of a generator like that?
But the different sizes, they go from 2,000, actually from about 1,800 to about $5,000. The bigger ones are closer.
That's your cost.
Right, and that he gives it to us at cost, I think, plus a little bit to cover the shipping or whatever. But yeah, he's a member at large. He's joined last year. Yeah,
are they shipped to like Poland or directly?
They're actually in storage. There's a good number of them in storage in Poland, because we're not the only ones. The Rotary Club out of Colorado is also fundraising and raising money to send these things. There's also a couple of Canadian organizations. So he's sending out an awful lot of generators over there. That's why he has them in stock.
Point Jerry is talking about publicity for our organization when we're helping. As you can see, every one of those has a UAV label on it. So when these Ukrainians get it, they know where it's coming. And they send us these videos and thank us for that. This is something that I think as a military, as a veterans organization, we should be focused on. I know they need wheelchairs and stuff like that,
what they need is stuff like this now to win the war. And any post can adopt a particular battalion. So let's say you have family there who says, oh, I have somebody fighting in this and this battalion. You can send it directly to that particular battalion.
We actually had one individual actually out of Yonkers, the Kazicki family. They gave us a significant contribution for these, and they had a video thanking the Kaczynski family specifically.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So, you know, that worked well. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, I don't know what the line is, but when we get into some of this technology that we're sending over to Ukraine, is there any danger of us violating any kind of DoD regulation?
No.
No.
It's a battery.
No.
It's a battery.
Yeah.
No, it's not secret technology. You know, you can buy these for your home. They make them, you know, almost container sized. Yeah, well, not 20-foot container, maybe on wheels, on a flatbed, can operate a whole hospital. So they're and they can check their website, New Use Energy, NUE.com. Yeah, I've got some very interesting. He's got a lot of stories from Ukraine and on his website, etc.
Have you sent any drones over also?
No, he doesn't do drones. We're actually the best use is the hospitals and the medical stabilization points, because the priority for diesel fuel goes to the tanks and the fighters, whereas this can keep the blood cold or warm, or I don't know, do you keep it cold or warm? Cold. I don't know.
Just before you give it, then you warm it up.
Okay, oh, that's how it works, right? Okay. All right. So anyway, you can help us by donating, or let me know and I'll put you in touch with the whole chain. The coordinator between Ukraine and the company and us is Lida Lada. She's Petra Helka's daughter. She lives in Toronto. She's from Philadelphia. So, yeah, she's actually coordinating. She knows all the priests and all the people in Ukraine. So she's some kind of microbiologist or a scientist. She's a rocket scientist. Anyway, all right, thank you.
43, and do you want to, it's Lieutenant Colonel Black, right?
He's gonna talk to.
Are you gonna give us?
I'll give a little speed, a little speed.
No, I'm very curious.
Post 43 in Johnson City. In the past year, I was able to attend several festivals. 3 were at the Pentecostals, and 2 were at Ruthenians, and of course, 1 is Sacred Heart Catholic. Wave the hat and answer questions about what we're doing to help Ukraine. Many questions to pass that on. In the meantime, the past year, we had a general panakida from my brother who passed. We had the Broome County Veterans Association. There's about 25, 30 veterans who volunteered to put on the colors, guns and everything for all veterans, and we're able to use that. I got a bunch of pictures at my brother's panakida that I'll pass on to the commander later. On Memorial Day, I joined the American Legion, and for services, short services at 5 cemeteries. Our cemetery, the Catholic cemetery, Ruthenian cemetery, Polish cemetery, and Slovak cemetery. Highlight of the year is we were able to organize for our own member, James Glass, to go over to Landstuhl, Germany, and visit some fighter heroes and deliver some coins. So I don't want to steal his thunder. He's agreed to talk for a couple of minutes. Aside from the Post 43 report, that's it. He finishes it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that introduction. Greetings, colleagues. As Michael said, my name is Jim Glass. I recently joined the organization. Some of you remember me from Solus Euclid last year. That was where I got the idea. I was sitting in the crowd, and somebody mentioned that we have Ukrainian warriors that are being treated in Landstuhl. I'm like, I'm going to Landstuhl in December to visit friends, and that was where the nexus for the mission came to be. I said, you know what, I could go and talk to the commander and maybe pass out some. Michael jumped right on it, and he organized the state commander, Michael Polney, to consolidate. I think he gave us 25 commemorative coins with our emblem on the front and the memorial on the back. Wooden cases, very expensive, kind of heavy to carry in luggage, but happy to do so. Carl Harvey was very instrumental in New Haven. I was having difficulty reaching out to the commander. I kind of wanted to make a backdoor introduction, like I'm a Landstuhl alumni. So I was thinking, you know, somebody I know there, maybe give me the email address for the assistant chief nurse and, you know, go backdoor route. Operational security is very, very predominant in today's military, fortunately, still. But that was a stonewall for me. Nobody would give me a simple email address. I'm like, can you give me the email address to the assistant chief nurse? No. Okay. It was problematic. Carl Harvey has connections at the embassy in Kuwait. Next thing I know, I get an email from the military attaché, a nice lieutenant colonel from the Kyiv embassy, CC Colonel Theodore Brown, the commanding officer. Can you guys accommodate Lieutenant Colonel Glass, who's coming to recognize Ukrainian warriors at your facility? Of course, no problem. You know, the yellow brick road was opened up for me, and in any event, naturally, Michael says now the eyes of the organization are on you. The embassy is involved, so don't muck it up. And so I did my very best. They assigned me to an action officer, a young captain. He's like, when do you want to arrive, sir? And he set the whole thing up, made an appointment to meet with the commanding officer, the deputy commanding officer, and the hospital command sergeant major. We sat in his office. They gave me very, you know, DV, distinguished visitor treatment, very appreciative. The hospital commander's office, I want to say, was appointed. It was about the size of this. It seemed like it was the size of this room. It was like the size of the Oval Office. I'm very impressed. His West Point cadet uniform on display in the corner. Colonel Brown was able to commiserate with me a little bit in that he was raised in the Serbian Orthodox Church. Oh. And with a name like Brown, like so in any event, we had a fascinating discussion in his office about why it's so important to bring the Ukrainian warriors that we can to Landstuhl for treatment. Not only does it benefit the Ukrainian military, it benefits the medical staff at Landstuhl, because our op tempo since the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq have obviously the amount of casualties that we are bringing in from downrange has decreased significantly, and so therefore also the capacity or the capability to care for polytrauma patients is diminishing in the medical staff. It is a perishable skill. 2006, 2007, 2008. When I was there, it was not a problem getting multiple polytrauma patients coming in. And so they welcomed the opportunity to care for people that were in the fight. I was told when I got done with meeting with the commander, you will now be escorted, very scripted, very, there was a public affairs officer. From here on, we will take the photographs. I was able to take photographs with the commander in his office, but after that, they said no photographs, only the public affairs officer. And I was brought into a lovely conference room. There was a lot of military members who were in support of the American military members, I should say, in support of the care of the Ukrainian, actually it was the International Brigade members that I was visiting. I was told I would be visiting with 4 Ukrainian soldiers. And so I brought coins for the 4 soldiers. I bought coins for, obviously, the important hospital staff, the commanders, command sergeant major, etc. I wish I had brought all of the coins with me because, but that, they're very heavy. In any event, I find out as I'm touring through the hospital, I went to the ICU as an alum there. I wanted to give them a coin to put in their giant challenge coin case so that UAV could represent. And one of the nurses on the slide says to me, by the way, there's some more Ukrainian soldiers over on Ward 10 Charlie. Couldn't get to them. They were on isolation. And if I had some more coins, I was going to drop them off and, you know, please somebody give them for me. Sadly, some of you may know, so I gave a rousing speech of gratitude to the 4 International Brigade members, 2 of which were American, 2 of which were Frenchmen, all of which were amputees. To a man, they said that I would do it again. I started off with, we were waiting for 1 extra member to come from wherever he was. So I started talking to the 3 and I'm like, well, we're waiting for this 4th member. Please tell me your stories. And it was very emotional for me to hear. And again, to a man, they said, I would go back. I would do it again. Very, very proud to have been able to recognize. And I gave, you know, we appreciate you being at the tip of the spear for the fight of freedom against the authoritarian regime. And, you know, I had a very rousing, patriotic speech, and it was well received. Afterwards, again, made my way to the, toured around the hospital a little bit, didn't get to see any actual Ukrainians, sadly. However, again, my intent was to pass along. After the successful visit to the hospital the very next day, I went to celebrate. It's written in the article. I went to my old station of Mannheim, where I had stationed as a kid in the Cold War. The Christmas market was unfolding before me, and I was walking 10 feet from, I was as far away as those chairs from being on the grounds, hit by a car. And that was the end of my my Germany fun experience anyway. So I was taken to the hospital. I did have a bump on the noggin. They did a CT scan. I was cleared. Badly damaged my left leg. Basically, that put on hiatus all of my the continuing saga of my trip to Germany. So the rest of my trip was focused on getting my butt home, which was very difficult. In any event, planning a return trip, November, December. I presume that we are still treating casualties at Landstuhl. My expectation, now that I have the commander, the secretary, actually, the commander may have changed, but his secretary, nice German lady, she won't have changed. I have her email address. I'll tell her when I'm coming. We'll set something up. It won't be as difficult as the last one. And I'm gonna wear my PT belt everywhere I go. PT belt save lives. That's it. And that is all I have. I mean, it was a wonderful mission. I enjoyed it. It was very heart-rending for me, very moving. Very proud to have done it. But at the same time, it was a difficult thing to do as well. But with that, I'll open the floor to any questions. Thank you.
Other people in isolation?
I presume that it had to do with like MRSA or methicillin-resistant Staph aureus, maybe, or streptococcus-resistant organism. I was told that it was an infection control isolation, not an isolation of like you can't talk to people. But I don't know. That could be what they told me.
I have a question for you. So you said that the American military is looking wants these wounded Ukrainians to be coming there for treatment. And you probably don't have the answer to this question. My question is, why are we still bringing, not we, the UAV, but some Ukrainian organizations are still bringing troops all the way here to America to treat? If Landstad and the Army is willing to treat them there, wouldn't the money that these organizations raise be better used? And shouldn't we as a veterans organization make that point somewhere?
So I would say to you, sir, that while Landstuhl and the Army wants to be able to treat the people like that, we can't just open the door. It's a matter of aid organizations who come up with the funding to get them there, and yes, so that's Landstuhl isn't doing it just simply out of.
The other thing you need to think about, it could be a massive amount of people that require that assistance, and the pipeline may just not be able to accommodate it. Be a backlog.
That's the issue that Landstad doesn't have the capacity.
As far as capacity is concerned, when there's a surge of casualties, like when we know we're going to be receiving a lot of patients from like a war, then they plus up the command and the staff. But when the op tempo is low, then correspondingly they don't have as many people to care for. So it's the main mission. Obviously, it's not to support the war in Ukraine, is to support, the NATO mission, which is obviously a segue to that. But yeah, as was mentioned, the Secretary of Defense met right around the corner from Landstuhl. Ramstein Air Force Base is like right there. So it's a important hub. Landstuhl is essentially, there's clinics here and there, but Landstuhl is essentially the only game in town now. Yeah. Heidelberg's closed, Frankfurt's closed, München. Yeah.
And it's no longer Army, I think it's joint now, isn't it?
It is a purple mission. It's a regional medical center.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an amazing thing. I really thank you for what you've done, and I also admire you for your initiative. So, thank you. And don't let any more cars hit you.
Purple heart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're gonna have to give you an award pretty soon.
Purple crutch.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yep.
So you get it, don't have to time.
Not a chicken.
All right, before we start the induction, so at this point, is there a motion to accept the post commit? Oh, wait a minute.
We still have more posts, don't we?
Yes, post 101. I'm sorry about that. And Nick, sorry.
I'm up for
Post 101.
101 comes for 301. Yeah. I know, I'm just wondering if he's going.
I think Matt Maluski's bingo.
The only difference between, this year and the other years, we're hosting the convention. Thank you.
Stand by God. Don't go back. Are there any questions?
What time's the bar open?
Okay, in Yonkers, we do quite a bit. We attend a rally in Manhattan College. We do Memorial Day ceremonies in Yonkers. We participate in meetings in the VFW and the DAV. We also attended Ukrainian festivals in Yonkers, Stanford, and Suzuki. And we also attended the St. Patrick Cathedral Holodomor ceremony. Also, we attend church services and ceremonies, attend fundraisers, and make donations in support of Ukraine. The highlight for us this year was that we have this tennis for veterans up in Westchester. And I was able to get 2 free tickets on Monday, the first day of the US Open. And this was a veterans program. I went there. It was great. I had a lot of fun. And those tickets were expensive this year. And then I also went a second day on Saturday, the 31st of August. And I was there at 6:30 in the morning. So they had a clinic for veterans from 6:45 to 7:45. And then we took showers and then we went for breakfast. By that time, we were in uniform and we had several ceremonies, one for the World War II veteran, one for the Vietnam veterans. We received pins there. And there was one for the, and this was all sponsored by the Joe Hunt family. It was this was to honor Joe Hunt Veterans Appreciation Day, which they're going to be doing now every year. And the president of the USTA now is a retired, general. And then there's another retired 2-star general that are working in the USTA. So there'll be a lot of stuff going on in the veterans there. So Joe Hunt was a West Point student back in the early 40s. And they let him out to play in the US Open. And if you go to the plaques over there at the US Open, you'll see his name. He won the tournament in 1943, the US Open. It's not the same tournament than what it is now, but he won that one. And then when he graduated, he went to Germany and his plane went down and he died at the age of 24. So his family is the one that's sponsoring all of his, Veterans Appreciation Day. So for the, we were put in a box, those boxes there. It cost $715 for one person. There was 20 of us sitting in that box. And then they gave us another box for the night session because they got to clean up everything after the day. So we had another session there. So, it was really good. In my box, we had Shannon Miller. She was a gymnast from 1992 Olympics and also in 93 she participated. She had 2 gold medals, 2 silver and 3 bronze medals. She was there with her husband and her son and her daughter. I got pictures of her. I got some pictures of all of this stuff if anybody wants to take a look at it. But it was great. I mean, I've been going to US Open since 1985. I never made it to the box until this year. I used to buy the cheap tickets and do the ground passes, and that was it. But now, so we have a nice program up in Westchester. We actually had a barbecue this week, and then we're going to have a breakfast thing, I think, next month. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Westchester, which we participate in. That's my report. Yeah.
Did you see Sabalenka while you were there?
Yeah, they were all over there. I saw Svitolina play. I saw Kostic play. We were jumping from one court to the other. We watched the set here, Swear off a set, then Svitolina, then cross stick. And actually, in the women's double, there was a Ukrainian girl that teamed up and won, this year too. So,
I think that was in the weekly, just the recent weekly.
what was that?
In the weekly, I think they talked about the doubles player.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing is they advertise now, if you play tennis, you'll live 10 years longer. So I want you guys to pick up a tennis racket. Forget about pickleball.
Pickleball kill you.
Pickleball is 15 years long. You know what they're doing? They're recruiting tennis players with names in there, paying them a lot of bucks to sell pickleball. The only pickleball that I play is I buy somebody a jar of pickles and that's it. Any other questions? Okay. Have fun playing tennis. It's a good sport.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Matt? You already gave your report?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so.
You were asleep.
And we do appreciate all your efforts. So at this point, do we have a motion to accept the post reports?
So moved.
All the reports.
All the reports.
All reports.
Oh, yes, and the activity reports, correct. Second?
Second.
Who's second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? At this point, before we get into the subcommittees, I'd like to make a, where did
Walked out the door.
Went to buy a tire.
Very good. I'd like to conduct a special ceremony. I've elected a new member to the Ukrainian American Veterans, First Lieutenant Brandon Husak, and I'd ask you to post here in front so that we can induct you. Please stand. Yes. Assume the position of attention.
Almighty God, we ask thy blessing that we may approach this ceremony with minds alive to the ideals it represents. We ask thy blessing upon these recruits who now are becoming fellow members. Bless our unity so that it may foster among us an enduring comradeship, a spirit of mutual loyalty. May we together promote and advance the sacred cause of justice, liberty, and democracy. May we together serve loyally our God and our country. Amen.
Veteran, your desire to enter this veterans organization is a worthy one. Neither wealth, rank, nor social distinction can gain you entrance. Only your loyal service to our great country will admit you to our organization. It is composed of Americans of Ukrainian descent, of every religion, occupation, and political conviction. The objectives of the Ukrainian American Veterans are fraternal, patriotic, historical, and educational in order to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Ukrainian American Veterans cherish and hold dear the great principles of liberty, democracy, unity, justice, loyalty, tranquility, and welfare. Are you now ready and willing to take the oath of obligation of the Ukrainian American Veterans?
Yes.
Place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. In the presence of Almighty God,
in the presence of Almighty God,
and fellow veterans of this order, here assembled, I, Brandon Husak, do of my own free will and accord, solemnly promise without reservation, and declare that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. I will always be loyal to the United States of America.
I will always be loyal to the United States of America.
I will never bear arms against the laws or its laws or institutions.
I will never bear arms against its laws or institutions.
I will safeguard and transmit
I will safeguard and transmit
to posterity the principles of justice, liberty, and democracy.
to posterity the principles of justice, liberty, and democracy.
I will promote peace and goodwill on earth.
I'll promote peace and goodwill on earth.
I will comply with the Constitution,
I will comply with the Constitution,
bylaws, and rituals of the Ukrainian American Veterans.
bylaws, and rituals of the Ukrainian American Veterans.
I will declare myself to the cause and welfare of the Ukrainian American Veterans.
I will declare myself to the cause and welfare of Ukrainian American veterans.
Dedicate. I will not at any time,
I will not at any time,
through word or deed,
through order or deed,
bring discredit to this organization.
bring discredit to this organization.
I will never propose for membership any person
I'll never propose for membership any person
not eligible according to our Constitution,
not eligible according to our Constitution,
nor one whom I know to be unworthy.
nor one who might know to be unworthy.
To all this, I pledge myself upon my honor, so help me God.
To all this, I pledge myself upon my honor, so help me God.
Comrades, you have been, comrade, you have been officially inducted into this organization. We welcome you into our fraternity. We trust you will have your experience here will remain with you through a long and useful life. Veterans, the ceremony is completed. All out. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Congratulations. God bless.
So now our newly inducted member. Welcome. We welcome you. Thank you. All right, at this point. So at this point, we want to break out into our respective committees. Each committee has a function. You'll have time today and you'll have time tomorrow. So today you might not have that much time, but tomorrow you'll still have time after, we open to go over whatever your respective committee is addressing. So our first committee that we would ask is about resolutions.
Mike, are you gonna appoint chairs to these committees so people know who will organize around?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, well, we would have to. I was gonna ask for volunteers. Well, we have resolutions. All right, if anybody would like to be involved in resolutions.
If not, appoint them.
Who's the chair?
All right, why don't we do it by
Yeah.
If you do, I can ignore it. Okay.
By the way. All right, membership will be membership and marketing will be Raman McCool.
Bylaws is
UAV bylaws will be our judge advocate, Don Hitmansky.
PR is
Public relations, publications will be Don Dudich. Welfare officer has his committee, whatever you want to work on. The historian has his committee, Ed Zedek, if there's something you want to work on. The webmaster, if you
We don't need to meet. I mean, there's.
No, it's okay. If you don't have anything, that's fine. I'm just going through is there anything in the monument that you'd like to have for a committee or?
I'll be the one-man committee.
Right.
I'll talk
I don't know who's doing finance and auditing. Do we have somebody who wants to volunteer?
No, I don't do a membership.
Where's Jerry Kindershore?
We don't have any books to audit.
Yeah.
No, I know, usually you're right, in a general,
We don't have it.
we will be auditing books, but remember there was a question about, do we need to, change, how we handle, for example, post-its become inactive? Or what we could do is make that.
Is that a finance?
That would be bylaws.
That'll be bylaws?
Yeah.
Okay. And then resolutions, all right. Yeah, I'll try to do resolutions and then whoever wants to work with me.
Mike, you did full scholarship. Do you want me to do something in scholarship or not?
Well, do you want to be?
No, do you? Is there something that you feel that you need to have a committee to go over?
I don't think.
Yeah, because you made some changes and,
They could read the article for the Ukrainian Weekly and make suggestions, or I have some stuff that I could give them. They could take a look at and see if they want to change or not.
All right.
You know, I don't.
So when we break up into committees, if somebody's interested in more than one committee, you're welcome to try to participate. In other words, however the committee chairs want to handle this. So if there's something else they want to do first, then they can come back to whatever their committee is.
Okay.
So you have today, I'll give you another hour and then we're probably going to call it a day. Is that when we're going to have the happy
Bar
hour?
opens at 5 and hors d'oeuvres are at 6.
Okay.
An hour.
That's an hour.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to do your best. And after 5, you are welcome, as our host commander said, to.
You want to announce the committees?
No, I thought I just did.
Like this. Who wants to be on my committee?
Oh, you mean who the members
Yeah,
are? I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
committee chairs were.
I got Michael. Anybody else want to be on the publicity committee? We're the fun committee.
I'm, joined at the hip with him, so.
Oh, okay, I got my committee.
Okay, so it's the 3 of you.
Yeah.
For membership, I'm gonna do in true Marine Corps fashion. We'll gather over at the bar.
There's one guy right there.
That's a
recruitment
tool.
Hey, that's where, that's where we were founded, so.
One tavern.
I'll be with the welfare committee since I am part of that committee.
Okay. Does historian, do you have anything? Do you have?
Don't.
Okay, then you don't have to run a committee.
Talk about it. I can't do it today. I can do it tomorrow.
And nothing for webmaster. And then, of course, Bogdan with bylaws.
Went to the. He'll be right back.
Well, who wants to work on bylaws? There's actually quite a bit of work on bylaws, so okay, we have one.
There he is.
Bogdan.
Yeah, okay.
So far, we have one volunteer for bylaws, but I think we need a couple people, because,
Yeah, your son volunteered.
oh, yeah? Brandon, you volunteer too?
For bylaws.
Oh, okay. So whoever else.
Free beer, anyone else volunteers. Nah. What's the bribery here?
So far we have 2 people, but if you can get more, that's fine. You want to be Jonas Savage? That's 3. So you have 3 people.
Absolutely.
And then if there are any other UAV projects that somebody wants to propose, come to me and we'll start another committee.
We have.
I actually don't know where it's at.
Is there a need for a quartermaster committee?
Oh, you want a quartermaster?
No, I just want to know if there's a need for one.
No, the ones that I didn't call off, we considered there was no need for.
There is no
I got a question about.
Is he still alive?
Bylaws?
He has right, but still alive.
Yeah, Bogdan Hitmanski's doing bylaws.
They're doing okay.
Yes. Bogdan, you have a 4th member, Walter Luther.
The other dude.
So I know you mentioned special projects under there, but and you mentioned a new welfare officer, a new quartermaster.
Yeah, maybe that'll have to be some kind of nominating. Maybe we'll talk to Ed Zag about that approach, but you're right. We're gonna need. Well, I thought the welfare officer said he'll serve another year.
Yeah, but for next year, I mean.
Oh, yeah. We should-
By next year,
Yeah.
That will be there somewhere.
So we'll let people kind of like start off, and then you're right, and we're gonna have to address that.
Who's our actual registration officer?
I'm the acting registration officer, but I've
Oh, let's
done.
get somebody else besides you.
Exactly.
You're already doing 3 things.
No, I know, plus I've made no progress, even though I wrote the letter, sent it, not sent it.
Well, what we can just say.
So, yeah, we're gonna have to come up with some nominations. So maybe one, you know, you want to, and me, whatever, we can go around.
All I need is the name, post, and telephone.
Perspective.